Make your life better with a new job at UPS. Join Team Louisville as a warehouse worker, earn $14.50 plus up to $425 in weekly bonuses depending on shift. Search and apply now at upsjobs.com/Louisville. That's upsjobs.com/Louisville.
CarMax is hiring experienced auto technicians for many of its 200-plus stores nationwide. If you're looking for a job where you can make a great living while working on the cars that you love, then CarMax is the place for you. Join CarMax to grow your technical expertise and work with state-of-the-art tools and technology. Work with the cars you love. Join CarMax. Apply today at CarMaxAutotech.com.
Exmark makes the mowers that care for the lawns that set the stage for the backyard life. As the commercial mowers more landscape pros trust, Exmark mowers get you on and off the lawn without compromising cut quality, comfort, or reliability. Exmark, official mowers of the backyard life, starting at $29.99. Learn about the available finance offers and check them out today at The Mower Shop, 7400 Preston Highway, Louisville, Kentucky, 502-969-6433.
Welcome back to Middays with Marcus Maben. Our guy Marcus is out for the day. If you guys know my voice and you listen to our afternoon show, The Drive with Mark Guinness and myself on Thursdays, you know it's me, Patty Ice, a.k.a. Pat Jagger. So we might hear from Mark Guinness some more live from ACC Media Days. Maybe not. You never know. It's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things going on, but great stuff there from Malik Cunningham and also the various players and coaches that we've heard from at ACC Media Days. So if Mark gets anybody else, we'll send it back out there. And we've got some great interviews lined up on The Drive this afternoon. But before we get to more of that, I want to go ahead and welcome our special guest here today on 93.9 The Ville. We've got our friends from UPS Jobs. And I want to go ahead and welcome in Duncan and Dominic. How you guys doing today?
Doing great, man. How you doing?
I can't complain. I cannot complain. So first off, what do you guys have going on right now? Why are we talking in studio?
Well, the first thing we want to discuss is that we've got an awesome new wage rate that just came out here recently. So previously, our package handler started at $14.50 an hour, and that was the rate for a while. We just had a new raise come out for all of those package handler employees, whether they be new employees or whether they're already employed. That's bumping up to $18.50 an hour for night shift, and it's bumping up to $16.50 an hour for day shift. So that's one really important thing that we want to talk about, and we're really excited about that.
So you guys also have, looks like, a Facebook Live going on as well. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we are on our Facebook Live kind of doing a double stream here, but you know, this is Duncan that just talked, and I'm Dominic. But so we always try and get on our Facebook Live. We have done it at Slugger Stadium a couple weeks ago, and we normally do it at our home base, the CEO over off National Turnpike, our hiring center. But yeah, we're trying to just during COVID, we had to figure out and get some innovative ways to recruit, talk to people, figure out different things we could do to spread the word about the great things that we have going on here. So we've been doing this. I think this will be episode 11. It's been, you know, a little bit of a success, a different way to spread the information, and I think people like hearing our voices. I don't know. Haven't grasped that
we'll
yet.
Assume that.
Hopefully they do a little bit.
It's like anything else. You get more reps and you get going. It gets better and better as time, and people pick it up, right?
Right. Hopefully.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So let me guys ask you this. So how did you guys get your start at UPS? And just tell me about how UPS has been good to you, and why, if somebody's listening, how UPS can benefit them if they start out like you guys.
So Dominic and I kind of had a similar experience. You know, we started as package handlers at UPS, just working the night shift so we could get our degree paid for, right?
Right.
That's our best programs. You know, you can work at UPS during the night shift. You can go to U of L or JCTC during the day and get 100% of your tuition covered, get book reimbursement money. You can get bonuses for good grades and graduation bonuses. So it's great stuff. So that's why I got started as a package handler, and then I ended up taking more responsibility, started being a supervisor on the night shift, and then I eventually was able to utilize my skills and my experiences for the recruiting department. So I got to move up into recruiting and share the knowledge that I had and the experiences that I had, and was able to tell more people about that. So UPS allowed me to grow in my career. It's allowing me to get my education without paying for it. And I think, Dominic, you had similar experience too, right, man?
Yeah, so I'll kind of start out a little bit before I got the job. Going to college my freshman year, I just didn't know if college was for me. I loved U of L, been a huge fan my whole life. But I was like, I'm going to just try this out. So took out all student loans. After that first semester or first year, living with my buddy Clay Crowdis in Unitas dorms. Shout out to anybody who has lived in Unitas before. Lived there, and I loved it. I loved the campus, the student life, everything. So after that first year, they of course send you that email. It's like, hey, you owe this much with that student loan.
Financial aid, right? In the bursar's office.
Yeah, it's awesome. So got that email. It said, hey, you owe about $14,000. So that's an email that you don't ever want to receive. But
100%.
I was like, I can't do this for the next 4 or 5 years. Thankfully, my mom plugged me to. Shout out to my mom. Plugged me to this program, the Metro College program.
Very
I was
cool.
able to get 100% of my tuition paid. Everything that Duncan said, and I've actually made a career out of this. I love to talk and spread the great word of these different educational programs. I always try and say, figure out a way to make money off of college and not the other way around.
Right.
Don't let them make money off of you. And these programs, the Metro College program, Earn and Learn, the UPS Loop program that we have in place are fantastic opportunities for you to have that chance to graduate debt-free and make money off of college, not the other way around.
That's a really good point. And a couple things. Once again, Duncan and Dominic joining us here from UPS, telling us about the great opportunities they have. Don't make the mistake I did, where I worked 3 jobs during college, and I probably should have done this. I got a ton of student loans. And who would have thought I'd be in radio still paying those student loans? So this is a great opportunity. And once again, get your tuition paid with 100% at the University of Louisville, make $18.50 an hour, and be eligible for academic bonuses through the Metro College program. So make sure you guys check that out. So real quick, I want to ask you guys something else real quick. So, Dominic, I see that you're a Louisville fan. How are you feeling about the football team this upcoming season?
All right, so I love Satterfield, but this is, to me, this is the determining year. All right, I got to see at least 8 or 9 wins, in my opinion.
Wow, that's pretty high expectations.
I need a good year because, to be honest, I'm worried about the recruits coming in. I don't see a lot of other high-profile schools with these recruits. So, Scott, I love you, but I need to see a lot out of you this year. I think, Malik, is he Malik or Mikhail? Or which one is he on?
I think we're going with Malik again.
Malik?
I mean, he was Malik at ACC Media Days. That's what we've been told, so
cool.
I guess it's Malik again.
So I have a lot of belief in Malik. I think he's going to do outstanding. I saw some tweets the other day that's like, he has more respect nationally than he does from, locals here. So I think we need to build up some respect and give some support to our starting quarterback. And hopefully, our defense steps up. Diaby, is it Yaya?
Yaya.
Man, I can't wait. I love that player. I'm excited to see him play this year.
Wow, I like the takes. Our friends from UPS giving us some hot takes on Louisville football. Once again, guys, make sure you check out the University of Louisville Metro College program through UPS. 100% of your tuition will get paid, $18.50 an hour. Plus, there are bonuses, weekly attendance and bonuses for $50, still in place for those that work the Sunday day shift. So once again, guys, where can they check out your guys' live stream and everything you have going on?
So if they want to go over to our social media pages, you can go on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. You can follow UPS Jobs Kentucky on there. Give us a follow. Share some of our posts. You can see us at the Bats games. If you go to Bats games, if you go to the Louisville City games or the Racers, we'll be making an appearance at all of those. And you can actually get a $5 voucher we're handing out there. So come see us at those games. But yeah, if you want to tune into our Tuesday Talk Lives, is what we've been doing at 6 o'clock on our Facebook Lives. We have a live session. Anybody who wants to ask about UPS opportunities or just interact with our silly faces, we'd be happy to answer any questions and provide them with some mediocre entertainment.
Once again, Duncan and Dominic from UPS Jobs. Make sure you guys go and check that out at upsjobsky.com and click apply now to complete your application today. Fellas, thank you so much. We'll take a quick time out. We'll come back. We'll have more ACC Media Days coverage. I'm Pat Jaggers. We'll talk to you on the other side right here on 93.9 The Ville.
Make your life better with a new job at UPS. Join Team Louisville as a warehouse worker, earn $14.50 plus up to $425 in weekly bonuses depending on shift. Search and apply now at upsjobs.com/Louisville. That's upsjobs.com/Louisville.
CarMax is hiring experienced auto technicians for many of its 200-plus stores nationwide. If you're looking for a job where you can make a great living while working on the cars that you love, then CarMax is the place for you. Join CarMax to grow your technical expertise and work with state-of-the-art tools and technology. Work with the cars you love. Join CarMax. Apply today at CarMaxAutotech.com.
Exmark makes the mowers that care for the lawns that set the stage for the backyard life. As the commercial mowers more landscape pros trust, Exmark mowers get you on and off the lawn without compromising cut quality, comfort, or reliability. Exmark, official mowers of the backyard life, starting at $29.99. Learn about the available finance offers and check them out today at The Mower Shop, 7400 Preston Highway, Louisville, Kentucky, 502-969-6433.
There's not many things that I think that get me more hyped than that song, Brian Hall. Like, that is such a great return from break. Like, how can you not be fired up to spit some Louisville and Scott Satterfield takes after hearing that intro? But I am not Marcus Maben. I'm not Steve Rummage. Hell, I'm not Mark Ennis, who you guys have heard from throughout the show today, breaking down numerous interviews from ACC Media Days, which I love ACC Media Days, probably because I'm a media nerd, and I think that's understandable. And I've always enjoyed going to these press conferences and really talking with all these different players and coaches. But once again, guys, we've got some great stuff lined up in the afternoon. You guys have heard some great interviews here on 93.9 The Ville and ESPN 680 throughout the week, the last couple of days, and the momentum's just look, we're just getting going here, guys. We've got some great stuff lined up in the afternoon, and I cannot wait for you guys to hear some of the stuff we have going on for you. But once again, this is 93.9 The Ville middays with Marcus Maben. I am not Marcus Maben. I'm Pat Jaggers. Patty, guys, if you guys listen to The Drive every day, you know my voice and have heard it a time or two spitting takes probably about IU or screaming and yelling about something pretty ridiculous. That's my brand here, and I don't know if we'll get to any of that today.
You had any Hoosiers talk?
No Hoosier talk today. Strictly Louisville football, Brian Hall. Right. Strictly Louisville football. But once again, if you guys want to be a part of the show, feel free to chime in 8150-939. Give us a call, or you can hit us up on the UPS Jobs text line 3831-939. So I wanted to touch upon something that Marshawn Ford said a few minutes ago that really kind of stood out to me. And if you guys have listened to us in the afternoons, we've talked to a variety of ACC network analysts. I think that's probably one of our show's biggest strength is some of the national guests we talk to on a week-in, week-out basis, and pretty much just the insight they provide us when it comes to Louisville football. So for me, I was hearing Marshawn Ford talk, and something that I've been very adamant about the last week is the tight ends. You had to ask yourself, when you lose guys like Des Fitzpatrick, Tutu Atwell, and obviously Javian Hawkins, how are you going to replace that production? Well, a lot of people I'd say right now are going to say, well, you've got Hassan Hall coming back, and I shared the same sentiment as Steve Rummage. You know, Steve said this numerous times where he's like, look, Hassan Hall, buddy, you've been here a long time, and don't get me wrong, he's had some health issues and some health concerns, et cetera, but at some point, Hassan, you've shown glimpses. You got to go out there and just take it, man. And like, if you're going to be the guy, you just got to go out there and do it. I agree with that sentiment 100%. But the other person I think is going to have a massive year this year for Louisville is Jalen Mitchell. You know, I like Jalen Mitchell a lot, and honestly, I like Travion Cooley. I'd love to see him get some reps this year, but I don't think that's going to happen. It's a very, very, very deep running back core this year for Louisville football. But I'm telling you, I think Jalen Mitchell's their guy. They've been very, very complimentary of him. I've heard some things behind the scenes that they really like Mitchell. You know, I'm also hearing that, I think that right now, the one person I think that they've complimented the most, that's probably a wide receiver or someone that, not even a wide receiver, someone that's just going to help replace that production that was the Des Fitzpatrick and the Tutu Atwell of last season, it's Marshawn Ford. So the one thing I've been adamant about is saying, look, like this kid should have an absolutely massive year. And Scott Satterfield said it earlier. Marshawn Ford talked about it earlier with Mark Ennis Live from ACC Media Days. Said, look, we're not taking this kid off the field. And quite frankly, when you have to replace production, you shouldn't take him off the field. Why would you want to? When you have that type of player that right now, and I've talked about this many times on the air, I felt like Marshawn Ford was one of the most underutilized players last year because when he got him the ball, he was reliable. He caught it. He got production. And if you guys listen to me, you guys know, especially on the Louisville Football pregame show, because I do host our pregame coverage here on ESPN Louisville for Louisville Football. One of the things that really stood out to me was the fact that I just think Scott really struggled to get Malik to understand, look, man, like when we're saying, hey, you got to get the ball to Marshawn, you got to get the ball to Dez, you got to do it. Like, you just have got to follow through with your progressions and make the play. Even if you face pressure, you've got to be calm enough in the pocket to do so. And I think that's where a lot of those turnovers came from, just not sticking to the game plan last year. And that's something that Scott has said numerous times, again and again and again. Stick to your progressions. Stick to the game plan. If we have a play called out for Des Fitzpatrick and he's open, throw him the ball. So he's got to do that this year with the new wide receivers. But I'll tell you, this is going to be the most Scott Satterfield-looking team we've ever seen. They're going to be a run-heavy offense, which they already were. And I know at times it was very predictable, and you could definitely see on second downs where it's like, all right, guys, you shouldn't run the ball here, but I know you're going to run the ball on 2nd and 8. And they would do that. And the thing
it's the Satterfield way.
It's the Satterfield way. But the thing is, I think is going to be better this year is that I think a lot of people really underestimated the losses of Tyler Haycraft and Mekhi Becton. And I think this year, Louisville went out there the last 2 seasons, and they really built up the depth on the trenches. Not just the offensive line, but the defensive line as well. And I think this year, in terms of running the ball, it's going to be a lot more efficient. And you know what? I would like to see Malik Cunningham run the ball more, just a tad, because at the end of the year last year, they really started to make some strides when he was, I don't want to say a run-first quarterback, but when they had more design plays for him to run the ball. And I felt like Louisville started to really maximize their potential down the stretch there, where it's like, you know what? These last couple games, let's go ahead and try to incorporate Malik in more of a run-style offense. And that's what they did. And Malik was very, very effective on his feet. And this year, I don't know if you're going to be able to do that. And quite frankly, I don't know if you'll have to. Like I said, you've got an offensive line that should be much better. The people I've talked to from the 80 who've kind of have looked at this thing from an perspective, they're really high on Louisville's offensive line. The people we've talked to from ACC Media Days, so for example, Roddy Jones, we were talking with Kelsey Riggs yesterday and Kelly Gramlich, and we're talking with Bud Elliott from 247. Everybody is really liking the depth that Louisville's built up on the offensive line. And I know that was one thing that Eric McLean of the ACC Network, he said, look, like if Louisville can do that, they have a good chance to be a lot better this year. And, I want to go ahead and bring up something that Roddy Jones said to me the other day when Luke and I were interviewing. And Roddy Jones of the ACC Network was one of the guys that was very, very, very look. I know that this Louisville football team is a unit that people believe can be a dark horse to win the ACC championship, but I'm not buying it. I think they're going to take a step back in the offensive line, and I don't think the defense is going to make the steps it needs to take to be a dark horse in the ACC. He was dead on. Dead on. Spot on. 100%. Called it. And then, we asked Roddy, I said to him, I was like, look, Roddy, you were pretty low on Louisville last year, and you nailed it. And I asked him, I was like, look, in terms of dark horses, who do you like this year in the ACC? That's not the usual suspects. So not the North Carolinas, not the Miami, obviously not Clemson. Besides Clemson, who do you like? And he said, look, if I'm going to pick a team to finish second in Clemson's division that's not NC State, I'm going with Louisville.
Like it.
And that dropped my jaw because I wasn't expecting him to say that. I thought he'd be somewhere in the middle where they've got some work to do, or maybe he would go with NC State. But he put NC State, who, by the way, overperformed last year. They definitely really well. And, Dave Dorn, he came on with us last year and was like, look, I think we're going to have a strong year. And not only did they have a strong year, they really blew people away. Roddy Jones thinks that Louisville, a team that he was very low on last year, nailed the analysis, nailed the prediction, says, look, I like Louisville alongside NC State this year.
Well, what's funny? It's, not to rag on him, but it's like the Dominic when he was in here for UPS, and he said that it's a make or break year for Satterfield, and that he's not impressed with some of the recruits and different things that he brought in. But when you actually talk to the analyst, and I think that is an echoed sentiment from a lot of Louisville fans right now. But when you look at the actual analysts, like Roddy Jones, You look at Scott Satterfield and the way he talks about this team. I think this is the most excited that I've heard Scott be about his team since he's been at Louisville.
There's like pep in their step, right?
Yeah.
We talked about that yesterday. Like they're just the energy is really high.
And I think it has to do a lot with, the type of player that Satterfield recruits are guys that are going to buy into his system, that are going to play his way. And I think he finally has a roster that he feels is, like you said a minute ago, it's his players. It's his it's the most Satterfield roster we've had since he's been here. And I think with that, all those things factored in, we're going to see a big jump. This was the same year when he was at Appalachian State that he made a big jump. So like this could be something to keep an eye on because I feel like he's finally got his guys in there.
I think that's a big part of it where it's not just his guys. I think that this is the one year based off personnel, like what they did at App State, that they did for years and years and years and years where it was very identifiable. I think that's what they're going to do this season. Like you're going to look at the App State film and say, okay, this is finally being implemented in what they're doing at Louisville. And, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. I think there's still a lot of question marks at the wide receiver position. I think Jordan Watkins is going to be one of their more utilized guys. I also think that, I'd like to see how Wirtz kind of fits into this whole thing, the transfer from Georgia Southern. Like, I'm just really curious to see what happens right now with him. And I wouldn't be shocked at all if Louisville says, you know what? Let's put you in the backfield with Malik and let's run some trick stuff. Let's run some trick plays with your experience at quarterback. I think you're going to see that this year. But I'm telling you guys, like I was more in the middle for Louisville football, and I'm starting to really kind of turn a page a little bit and be a lot more optimistic about it. Maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid a little too much, Brian. Maybe I'm buying in
this time of year.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's Hawkins season, right? But regardless, I do think that there's a lot of momentum for Louisville football. I mean, I wouldn't just say, look, like, I wouldn't be extremely cynical. I was one of those people, and the people that I've talked to, and what I'm hearing from people that talk to a lot of coaches on staff and really get a good feel for the program, they're feeling good. And it just seems like the attitude of the team, Brian, it just really seems like these guys are starting to turn a page in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think all Louisville fans have to agree, and we haven't been able to say this in a while, but the defense should definitely be improved, and the offensive line should definitely be improved. Louisville fans have not been able to say, I feel good about our offensive line. I feel good about our defense since I can even remember. And then, like you said, there are a lot of question marks on the offense, but it doesn't mean that there aren't playmakers there. We're just inexperienced at some of those positions. I'm with you. I'm really excited to see Hassan Hall be able to take full reins.
He's got to go out there and do it,
Mitchell guy.
Right? Like at some point he's just got to really assume the position and take it. Like if you're gonna be the guy, Hassan, like bro, you've been there forever. Now's the time. Let's go.
Yeah, but to be honest, I think he's going to have a tough battle with Mitchell. I mean, Mitchell is one of those guys that could very well take the reins as well and keep Hassan Hall as that RB2, but it's a good problem to have. You want to have multiple options, and I'm with you on, we did lose a lot of offensive weapons as far as, wide receivers last year, but there are a lot of new faces coming in, and I'm with you. I like guys like Shai Wirtz. A guy like Shai Wirtz is a guy who was so athletic they couldn't keep him off the field, so they just threw him at quarterback. I like when you take the athlete out of high school who went to a high school, maybe a smaller high school, and they were just the best athlete on the team, so they played quarterback. But there is a mystery of what they can do at other positions, because if they're so athletic, let's throw them at receiver, let's throw them at defensive back, let's do this, and who knows? If they had played receiver the whole time in high school, would they have been one of the top receiver prospects? That's kind of what I see with a Shai Wirtz. When you got a guy who's going to a college team and he is just, he's just the best athlete. We got to get him on the field. Let's throw him at quarterback. Well, now that he's playing receiver here at Louisville, I think and like you said, I think you can use it for some trick plays and different things like that.
Sure.
I'm excited to see what's going to happen there.
I think there were some things they wanted to do with Tutu that maybe Shai can do a little better when it comes to trick plays. Like, Shai's not going to go out there and he's not going to be Tutu Atwell. Like, what I mean better is I think that, maybe when it comes to trick plays where, you ask a Shai Wirtz to throw the ball, maybe it's a little better. They tried that last year and it was okay. You're
not saying that Wirtz is a better receiver than Tutu. You're saying Wirtz is a better quarterback.
Exactly. Like, so if they want to do those trick plays, maybe Shai can, connect with Malik, right? So that's the type of thing. We'll see. I mean, who knows, guys? And they may not do that at all. I think this is once again going to be a very App State-looking offense, like what we saw from Satterfield. But real quick, speaking of Satterfield, do remind you guys, coming up here in about 15 minutes, we're going to take you guys live out to ACC kickoff to hear from Scott as he takes the podium, talks to all types of media, local media, national media, you name it. It's his official time on the podium. That's going to be on all ESPN Louisville stations. So I know we've already heard from Scott today. We're going to hear from him some more on the drive. And it's going to be a very Scott Satterfield heavy day here on ESPN Louisville. But do remind you guys, our Media Day sponsors, Gate 1 Tailgate and Music Club, GE Appliances, MakeItAtThePark.com, and Body Armor Sports Drink, providing you guys this great coverage from ACC kickoff down in Charlotte. So we still got a lot to get into here. We got about probably, I'd say, B-Hall, what do you think, about 10 minutes left in the show? Somewhere around there, and just producing on the air, Brian. Whenever you're ready to go to break, we can, or I can stay on and just throw to it. You just let me know. I can do either or.
What's easiest for you?
I can just stay on and throw to whenever it's ready. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're probably caught up in spots anyways. But once again, guys, we got some great texts coming down the UPS Jobs text line. 3831-939 is that number. And this is something that I don't really think has been talked about a lot, but I think this is a good text. Louisville strength coach was voted a top 20 strength coach in the country. The guy is a complete badass, and when you're talking development of 3-star players, it's a huge factor in our favor. Yeah, you're not wrong. I think a lot of people look at Louisville strength coach, and that's a big part of it. But at the end of the day, I think that this is a year where we're going to make up our minds whether or not we're going to trust Satterfield and his staff and what they're doing development-wise. Like for me, I look at an example, Marshawn Ford. Kid was a walk-on. And he's arguably a top 5, if not he could end up being the best tight end yardage-wise.
In the ACC.
Yeah, top 3 right now, maybe top 5 right now. Emacs got him in his top 5. I think he's probably around 3rd in the ACC if I'm just looking at it preseason-wise. He could finish the year as the best tight end in the ACC in terms of yardage. And, I mean, he may not be the biggest pro prospect, I think, right now, but that could change as the year goes on. But what I mean by that in that text and what I'm getting to here is that, that's what Satterfield wants to do. They want to identify guys like Marshawn Ford, bring them in, and really maximize their potential. And yeah, you want to do that with every recruit, 3 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars, whatever. But that's what made them so successful, is that Satterfield and his staffs have this way of finding and identifying talent that no one else seems to be able to really get an eye on. Like when you go out there and you're having success and your recruiting classes are the 7th best in your conference at App State and you're running the leagues, you obviously know what you're doing. So I think this is going to be a year where it's year 3 and we start to see some of these, lower ranked guys in these recruiting classes really start to have impacts, and we say, you know what? Sat probably does know what he's doing. And, it might take another year. I think year 4, I don't think this is a make or break year. I disagree with Dominic of UPS who joined us earlier. And by the way, huge shout out to our friends at UPS Jobs for coming in here. Make sure you guys go to upsjobsky.com and click apply now if you need a job. I'm telling you, if you need a job, UPS Jobs is the way to go. The bonuses they're offering are unreal, guys. If you guys work the weekends, you get a $50 bonus on top of your Saturday shift. So I'm telling you guys, make sure you check it out. There is a lot to offer at UPS Jobs. So I'm telling you, that's a great way to go. But anyways, back to the take that Dominic said earlier. I disagree. I don't think this is a make or break year. I think that's next year. I think that's one more year where you finally have guys that you recruited as freshmen, coming in freshmen. They're going to be juniors. They're going to be seniors. It's the time to finally start winning some games. Yeah, they need to take a step in the right direction this year, no doubt. No ands, if, or buts about it. Louisville football needs to take a step in the right direction, for sure. But the thing is, though, I think next year is your make or break year. I think this is a very important year. Don't get me wrong. This is a very important year. That is the steps. That is the staircase to the promised land. For Louisville football, I guess, per se. But regardless, I think next year's your make or break year if you're going to have one. I think that gives Sat 4 years, and I think you can sit back for Vince Tyre and take everything in collectively. You know, I know people are tired to hear this, but at some point you have to take into effect COVID. Do you throw that out? Do you look at that and say, you know what, maybe we need to be a little bit more critical on Scott Satterfield because they did have a lot of pieces and they underperformed? I would like to see Scott Satterfield this year, considering that they lost all those great pieces to the NFL draft. So obviously, you know, J.V. Hawkins didn't get drafted, but he's on a roster. He's going to make a roster. I believe that. Des Fitzpatrick is going to be, you know, I mean, hell, he's not going to start, but he's going to be the first wide receiver off the bench for the Titans.
Yep.
And then you got Tutu Atwell, who's going to be utilized in some specific schemes for the Rams. Without those guys, I want to see Louisville football overperform this year. And I think that will not only allow fans to get rejuvenized and re-energized for the program, I think people nationally say, you know what, Scott's got this thing rolling. He's making this step. He's making steps in the right direction. You know, give him another year, give him some more time, and at year 4, that should be the year. And you know, maybe it's this year. You know, maybe Roddy Jones is right, Brian. Maybe Roddy does have the right thought process where he's like, you know what, I think Louisville's going to be the most, you know, App State we've seen. And the other thing that Roddy brought up that I thought was really, really important to keep in mind, he says, look, when you start a new tenure at a job for a college football program, you take year 1 and year 2, and in year 3, the turnovers typically balance out after the first 2 years. If that's the case, then Louisville should definitely have a lot more wins in the win column this season.
I'm kind of along the lines too that, and I know this is like probably a worn out narrative, but I do feel like Satterfield more so than other coaches is one of those guys that you just have to buy into his culture, and that he's not going to.
It's all or nothing, right?
Yeah, he's going to be that guy that doesn't go out and wow you every year with a top 10 recruiting class, getting a 5-star and a 4-star guys, but he knows how to get the right players, the guys who are coachable, the guys who fit his system, the guys that he thinks that he can develop into what would be a 4 or 5-star guy, because he's done that the whole time with App State. Now, the big question has always been, can he recruit the same caliber players that he is at App State at a school like Louisville and still be successful? Well, I think he's already starting to mix and match some higher-rated recruits in, which you're going to do at a school like Louisville, but I'm not as much worried about the recruiting numbers. It's football. Football is much different than basketball in the sense that you know, it is a lot more about developing guys. Like, you know, you get a good recruiting class, you don't see the results of it in football for 2 to 3 years. Whereas in basketball, you could have one good recruiting class and you turn your whole year around. But I think people are going to gradually start realizing that Satterfield is a guy that he gets the right guy. He gets the right guy to come in, and I think he's starting to feel like he has all the right guys in place. And I think that this is going to be a year that shocks some Louisville fans because they're so caught up in this recruiting and not getting the top caliber players and all this. But I think Satterfield's happy, and you can hear it in his interviews. He's excited. He feels good about the team that he has, and I think he knows because when he was first here, you can remember. I remember fans being in a tizzy after before the first spring game when he wasn't going to let fans go, and everybody's like, "Well, you know, he doesn't want the fans to be out there because he's not happy with the product that he has." And you could tell in his voice, you know, we got a little bit of a project here. We got a, you know, work in progress. We're going to be building. It's going to take some time, but he's for the first time ever starting to, you know, sound optimistic about his team, and so I think he's excited to get this year going because I think he's going to shock some people.
We'll see. Like I said, I've been very, very down the middle of where I was on Louisville football, and Roddy's kind of got me rethinking this thing, man. And I think as we get closer to football season, I'll probably change my tune completely once we get to Atlanta and that game with Ole Miss. I'm telling you, Brian, if they go out there and they win that game, the complexity of this season completely changes, and
expectations are different.
Yeah, like all of a sudden, I'd say Louisville's probably a top 25 football team if they win that game the next week. I truly believe that. I think people will completely change their tune on the outlook of Louisville football. So we'll see what happens. But once again, I'm Pat Jaggers, Brian Hall here. We're filling in for Marcus Maben and Steve Rummage. We're going to be talking with Scott Satterfield here in about 5 minutes. Not us. He's going to be talking at ACC Media Days. And make sure you guys keep it locked right here. We're going to have that on ESPN 680, 105.7, and 93.9 Louisville, or the ESPN Louisville app. So if you guys cannot listen in the car, if you're getting out of the car, that's fine. Download the ESPN Louisville app. Listen live anywhere and anytime. And that's how you can catch Scott Satterfield's press conference and obviously listen to the drive of Marcus and myself this afternoon as we get ready for some more just talking season at ACC Media Day. So it's going to be a lot of fun here, and we've had a lot of fun the last couple of days. Make sure you guys go out and check out the podcast center at espnlouisville.com. If there's really, if you guys have missed anything, and if there's anything you guys want to check out, make sure you guys go to the podcast center at espnlouisville.com and check out all the great interviews we've had on the air. So we still got a few more minutes before we get to Scott Satterfield at the podium. So we got some more things that we can touch on, get to a few of your texts. Texter says the UPS Jobs text line 3831-939. Louisville has to win first with middling recruiting classes. If they do that, the classes will get better, 100%. That comes with winning. I mean, I know you guys don't want to hear this, but that's what Kentucky has done up the road. They overperformed 110 games in a season, and all of a sudden their recruiting classes got incredible, and now they have arguably the best offensive line in the SEC for the upcoming season. I mean, that's what happens when you exceed expectations.
And I think that's kind of like what I was going with. It's one of those things where he's going to get by with the recruits that kind of overachieve that he develops right now. And if he starts winning games, then that's when it'll start to come to fruition. Dabo did the same thing at Clemson. He had to get middling recruits when he first started. Then he started rolling in success. Now he has all 5-star recruits every year.
Yeah, I mean, and that's how it rolls, man. You have to overperform for things to get better. And different things like that. But Texter crushed me about UK recruiting. No, I'm not wrong about UK recruiting. They've had some great classes the last couple years after they went on that run there. There's no ands, if, or buts about it. That's where they're at. I'm not wrong. So if you want to chime in here on the UPS Jobs text line, we can still take some of your texts, 3831-939. And that's the point. This is what I'm saying. UK had some success. They had an incredible season. And since then, they've really upped their game on recruiting. They've been able to go out there and get recruits. No, I'm not wrong. They won, guys. This guy's battling me on the text line, Brian. I don't understand. I don't understand what's not comprehensible about that. They won games, and it's going to be the same thing for Satterfield. If you win with less, your recruiting is going to get better.
And I have faith that Satterfield can win with less.
I don't understand why that's arguable. I don't get it. But anyways, we appreciate you tuning in on the UPS Jobs text line, 3831-939, if you guys want to be a part of the show. And we're going to talk to Sat here. We're going to hear from him in a couple minutes via ACC Media Days. And we'll take you guys out there. We're going to have some great content in the afternoon as well. But do remind you guys real quick that ESPN Louisville is your radio home for Louisville City FC. The boys in purple are back in action. Tomorrow, Lou City at Colorado Springs, 8:45 p.m. on ESPN 680, 105.7, 93.9 Louisville, and the ESPN Louisville app. And don't forget to catch Soccer City tonight on ESPN 680 at 6 p.m. Jeff Greer always does and does a great job with that show. Sorry, I lost my breath there for a second, but. Oh, man. Now, everybody, I mean, this is why I hate bringing up UK on this show. God forbid we make a point that's relevant to Louisville and people lose their damn minds on the UPS Jobs text line. But regardless.
Well, we got about 2 minutes till Satterfield.
Yes, we got about 2 minutes till Satterfield, guys. I mean, I hate to say it. Kentucky had a great season. And, that's really built up a lot of momentum from the product on the football field hasn't shown it. That's for damn sure because they've struggled. There's no ands, if, or buts about that. The Lynn Bowden year, I guess that's a success, whatever. But regardless, we're going to talk to Sat here in a couple minutes. We've got it. We're watching it right now on the screen, so I imagine this thing will be right on time. They've been right on time for the most part, Brian, for the last couple days. So I imagine right at noon we should hear from Louisville's head coach and pretty much just hear what he's got to say in regards to the upcoming season. They're showing Marshawn Ford and C.J. Avery on the screen right now, and so I imagine we're about to take it out to ACC Media Days. But once again, if you guys missed our interview with Jeff Elder and Dominic and Duncan from UPS Jobs, make sure you guys check them out. Really enjoyed hosting the show today. Steve and Marcus, Steve's out in Disneyland living his best life, so good for him. Disney World, Magic Kingdom, whatever. I don't know what it's called because I've never been to Disney, Brian.
So he's actually at Disney World. Disney World.
So Magic
Orlando.
Kingdom, right? Is that the right one?
Disneyland is in California. But Disney World has multiple, Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, Epcot, different places like that. So it has 4 or 5 different parks that you can go to. And honestly, you can spend a full day at each park. I think that they were doing 2 or 3 days passes as well. So, yeah, I know he's having a good time down there. Man's always on the road. He's, in Vegas or Gatlinburg or Disney World or wherever else he wants to be.
Texter says Vince Merrill's a big man. That's why they recruit well. That's it. Okay. All right. Whatever floats your boat. And now we've got people sending me we got some fun. Oh, this is a funny text. Oh, man. We got some really funny text coming out of the UPS Jobs text line at 3831-939. We're in a commercial break right now from the ACC Network, so I'm sure once we come back, we'll go right to Sat. Wow, I got some, got some texters hyping you up, Brian, the UPS Jobs text line. I'm waiting for this damn thing to load. This is a really funny text. I see the front half. I got to read the back half before I can say it on the air. But now I really appreciate Marcus saying, hey, Patty, can you host for me? I got something going on. It's like, hell yeah, Marcus, anytime, brother. But I hope you guys have enjoyed the show today. I hope you guys have enjoyed our philosophy on Louisville football here. I think Brian and I are kind of in the same area of where Louisville football can be this season. I mean, Brian, I'm still going to let the cake bake, like Bobby V would say for the most part. I'm going to let the cake bake, and I'm going to, sit back and really just kind of, before I go out there and say something like, Louisville's going to win 8-9 games this year, I'm going to give it some more thought, and I'm really going to, kind of see how fall camp goes, talk to some of the staff, talk to some of the players, and see where we're at. And I'm actually going to try to go to a couple practices as well this year, kind of formulate my own opinion before the season starts. I'm excited, man. I host our pregame coverage for Louisville football. Really enjoy that show. And Roddy Jones, who we kind of reference a lot on this show today, he's actually joined me a couple times on that show last year. And Roddy's one of my favorites from the ACC Network. And like I said, he was spot on about the analysis for Louisville football last year. Saying that he didn't think they were going to have a great year, and they didn't. And now he's told me yesterday that he thinks that they could be a team people are sleeping on. But I think we're going to hear from Scott Satterfield here in about maybe a minute or so. He's about to take the podium. So
looks like they moved him back to 12:30.
Well, Scott Satterfield looks like, I think maybe this is he's going to join
that's
him.
A guest on the show.
Like on the studio show. But I think he's going to go to the podium here in a second. So we should have this audio anytime. We were told 12 p.m. this morning, and I don't think that's going to change. So once we get Scott at the podium, we'll take you guys out there. Texter calling you Hollywood Brian. Brian Hollywood Studio. Come on, Brian Hollywood. Oh, never mind. This texter's not hyping you up. He's correcting us. Anytime that they have an opportunity to correct us, they would like to do that on the UPS text line. Anytime we can get crushed, you better believe it's going to happen. But I believe we're going to hear from Scott here in a second. They just took NC State off the big screen, so I believe we're going to get some if you guys are watching this on television right now, what they do is for each team that goes up there, they change the team and they make the entire room that themed team. So they just switched it from NC State, and it's now Virginia Tech. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe it did get moved to 12:30. So if we need to stay on or take a quick timeout, do whatever we can. But it's looking like Scott Satterfield may have got moved to 12:30. So if anybody behind the scenes, Brian, if you can ask around, if you guys know like what time Scott's going to air, if we can hit up maybe Drew or Mark to see if they have an update, that'd be great. But regardless, you are listening to 93.9 The Ville We like I said, I'm not sure when we're going to hear from Scott. Maybe we'll hear from him here in a second. But they did say on the network it might get moved to 12:30. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully not. But regardless, we will appreciate Brian and Steve and Marcus having me in here. It's been a lot of fun. And we got some great stuff coming up for you guys. Real quick, I want to get into another take I have on Louisville football here and what happened with the news. If you guys haven't seen this news, the ACC and Jim Phillips, they're going out there and they're really trying to have more of a focus on football this year in the long term. And I think when you look at what the goal and the plan is for Louisville, I would say that, if you look at kind of what that means, so for example, what happened today was the SEC the SEC didn't make this announcement. There's a report out there that the SEC might be looking to add 2 major players in Oklahoma and Texas. So if that happens, the question has been, what's going to happen with Louisville football? What's going to happen with the ACC? Does the ACC become a conference that wants to go out there and add more teams? And there's been some teams thrown around. And so I believe that the plan, if you're the ACC, is I wouldn't jump on anything. If you can get Notre Dame, that's great. But I wouldn't jump on just bringing a team like West Virginia or Cincinnati just to bring them in. Don't add more teams to your conference just to add teams. That doesn't strengthen your schedule at all whatsoever. But, Brian, I'm being told that, SAT is on 680 right now. So I don't know if he is or not. If we could find that out, that'd be great. I just got a text saying that, we might have him on 680. And if
we're talking to Drew on the phone, too.
If that's the case, if we could simulcast at some point, just let me know, and I'll throw to it.
But Andy's telling us that we should switch to 680 and just let them take it.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's go ahead and simulcast switch to ESPN 680, 105.7. You guys are going to be joining them as we get ready to hear Scott Satterfield live from the podium from ACC Media Days.